Today we're going on a cycle ride to Wilmington. We're going to see a giant, but we're going to start off at the Cookme Valley. And this is one of the most fantastic examples of a meandering river. We're going to park down the bottom there at the Seven Sisters car park. And we're going to go for a nice ride, and we're going to see the White Horse. We're going to see a few pubs and churches. Then we're going to end up at the Giant. So get ready. Look at that. That's the mouth of the Cookme there. How beautiful is that? This is the start of our journey. We're going not up the river, but we're going along down the Littlington road down there. We're going all the way to the A27. So let's get a move on. There's the bike. Westdean is a tiny little village, a little hamlet really, and it's tucked away right in Friston Forest. And see, it's got its little church, All Saints. Look at that. How beautiful is that? And again, Sussex Flint. And nobody even knows it's here. There's very little parking. But if you're on foot or if you're cycling, all these paths lead up into the forest. And it's just in a little horseshoe, goes round. And I've only ever been, look at that, how old is that, 400 years? I've only ever been to one customer in Westdean. There's another Westdean down near Portsmouth. But this little hamlet, nobody even knows it exists. But it is as pretty a place as you'll ever see to walk around. And tucked away, you know, we're right up. Look, if I look up, that's all Ashdown Forest. No, Friston Forest, forget that. Friston Forest, not Ashdown Forest. And it all, so you've got the church, and now we're coming up to the village pond. And you can bet 100 years ago, they would have had everything they needed. They would have had a village shop, and that's it. And we're back out now, back out on the road to Cookme. And as you can see, can't get two cars up here, and you can't park. Pretty little place. Just stop for a second because you get a good shot of the White Horse there. But if I span round, you also get a really good view as the sun's on it in the morning light of the quite new Ruffini vineyards. And they're just there on the far hillside, again on the back of the Alfriston Road. And I'm pretty sure this year they're going to get an absolute crap season because it's been so cold. I can't see the grapes have done anything. Mind you, what they do get could be very special indeed. So fingers crossed for them. That's the Littlington Village Hall. That's a private road straight up to the South Downs. I've been up there on my work. And here we are. Look, the hollyhocks are really high. Look how beautiful that is. And all these Sussex Flint cottages. And here we're coming up to the Plough and Harrow. The Plough and Harrow's got a great walk. You can go from the back down to the River Cookme, and then from the River Cookme all the way to Alfriston, then a circle back up to the road and along. And as you can see, this is not a busy road. I haven't had a single car pass me. But there we go, that's the path down. And now we're going through the beautiful, you're going to see, look, Littlington Nursery and Littlington Tea Rooms in the summer. It's just up there. That will be crowded in the summer. This Sussex Flint cottages and homes, it's so beautiful because the Sussex Flint comes out of the soil, so they get plenty of it, plenty of building material. And it lasts forever. Sussex Flint homes never fall down. And they move. Some of them have been put on straight onto the soil, and they move with the soil. Just the most perfect building material. And here we go, here's our first church. There's a few. This is the Church of St Michael's the Archangel in Lillington. And in here are some, just puffing up this hill here, in here are some war graves. And just over the hill onto Church Farm. This is a big working farm and a brewery. So, oh look, you can see some of the barrels. It's all local beer now. I have to turn the electric bit up to get up this monster of a hill coming. St Michael's is the first of the 3 churches that we're going to see along this one road. Amazingly, in East Sussex there are more Flint churches than anywhere on earth, so I've been told. I always tell everybody else, I hope I'm right. Nice downhill sweep now, and then there's a really big hill coming, but halfway up it is the smallest, one of the smallest churches in the country. I love all these beautiful Sussex Flint buildings. See where we are. This is actually Chapel Hill, and then we've got Church Farm up that way, and we've got the Alfriston Road behind me, and we're going up Chapel Hill at Lillington up to find our church. You can get some idea where we are. There's the White Horse miles away, and then come right back, and here up this tiny, just see my bike, up this tiny little twitten up there, it's what we call these little paths in Sussex, is the church that we're going to. Well, I made it up that path. God, we go up and up and up, and here it is, just in the morning light, Littlington Church. Extraordinary little place, and you can just see it in the dark there. And the church was much bigger at one point, but after a fire destroyed it, the vicar, to keep his parish, modified it, so I think you can get about 20 people in there, and of course you can get people outside. But look at this view. I'm just going to walk through the graves, and you'll see a little bit of the back of Alfriston across the grain-rich fields. And this is one of my patches of heaven, one of the most beautiful places in our area. It is just breathtaking. Right, back down and onward to our Wilmington Giant, and then after the Giant we're going to show you one of the oldest trees in the world. Oh, I've made it up Chapel Hill. That is one hell of a hill, but as you can see, even with the electric bike, that is hard work. And as you can see, we are now on top of the world. Look at this. And so we're going down that road, and we're going to find the long man. But now, it's pretty much downhill all the way, opening up into the most glorious views that Sussex has to offer. How many times I've parked my car on this ridge and just stopped and stared. You know, we've been on this road for, I don't know, half an hour or more, and not one single car. And now, just over this hill, unfortunately we're going to be looking into the light, which is a bit of a pain. We're going to see the long man, our giant, our Wilmington Giant. And there's so many legends. I even put a huge thing on my sewalot.com page. I did so much research on it. I could put it all together into a little book thinking about it, but I'll just stop here so the wind doesn't cut. But look, here we go. This is the farming belt of East Sussex, and just there, that's the highest point, that's Firle Beacon, and at Firle Beacon, that's where the beacon was lit in 1588 when the Spanish Armada was sighted down the channel. And they say, legend says, it took 2 hours to pass the message from the West Country all the way to London with the beacons. In 2 hours they passed the news to Queen Elizabeth that the Spanish were coming. And just in the far distance you can see the busy A27. Everybody will be rushing off to work, but I'm not working today. So right, let's get up the hill and find the Giant. Right, here we are, amazingly just where we want to be. We've got a car parked, but that is the Wilmington Giant. I'll try and get a better view so you can actually catch him in all his glory. Of course he hasn't been maintained this year again. Here we go, this is quite good. There we go. Now let's zoom up on him and you'll see. Now don't quote me on these facts, but he's the largest image, 230 foot high, so perfectly proportioned he looks quite small, and no one has a clue how old he really is. Whatever the experts tell you, they'll tell you he's this and he's that, but no one really knows. The trouble is, it's been repaired and maintained for so long, over the generations, over the centuries, but there are clues at the top there. You see those little lumps? That's a Neolithic Flint site mine. And so there are clues to this huge age, and there's so many legends. But you'll probably get a better view when we're coming the other way. So let's go and find it. Oh, isn't that funny? The first 3 cars of the morning. Let's get a move on. Here we are at St Mary and St Peter at Wilmington. And we're just going to walk up this path. And in the morning light I will show you one of the oldest trees on our planet. I know there's some incredibly ancient trees, but this was here before the church, and look how they support it and look after it. It's a giant ancient yew, and of course the Druids believed that because the yew rebuilt itself, the limbs would drop down onto the soil and then sprout up again. So it looked like they could live forever, it looked like they'd be reborn. And so the Druids held them in magical esteem. But here's the pretty little Flint church. You can just see it's got a chestnut tiled roof. Sussex chestnut is really good, hard wearing. There's the church. And now we're going to walk along. This is incredible, this tree. I always thought if any of it came down in the storm, I'd get a little bit and make something out of it. But even in the storm of '87, most of it survived. So it's a lot tougher than people think. 1500 years old or something, and it's going to outlive everything. Right, back down onto the road. You see all these little roads leading up into the hills are great for walkers, and of course you've got the South Downs Way, loads of other ways going on. You can just see it in the distance. That's Wilmington Priory. What's left of it, it's just the remains. And apparently, I don't know how accurate my memory is, it was destroyed by Henry V, not Henry VIII, interestingly enough, although possibly Henry VIII did finish it off. But I can't remember what monks they were. I don't think they were Benedictine monks, but they fell out with Henry. Oh, look at the view you get from here. This is an extraordinary view. Here we go, look at that. I'll just zoom up on that. There we go, there's our Giant. And we've seen the Priory, and we've seen the Giant, we've seen the pubs, and we've seen the churches. So this could be very nearly the end of our journey. And I'm just going to poodle along down. If I see anything else of interest, I will. Oh, I might film going down Chapel Hill, because I reckon we'd do about 35 miles an hour down there. And on this old banger, that will really heat it up. So I've got 6.5 miles to go back. We've done 6.5 miles from one side to the other. And now I'm going to go back through this beautiful farmland. There is paths up to the foot of the Giant, and amazingly enough, when I was a kid there was still some really old boulders at the foot that they had dug out when they replaced the Giant with concrete and other types of whitewashed brick. I don't know what they did with it, but they chucked all the original boulders, they just let roll down the bottom and everyone nicked them. But there was still a couple when I was a kid. Yeah, loads of public footpaths around here. And now we've got a very slow light incline up to the top of Chapel Hill and then a race down the bottom. Building. There we go. Again, St Michael's with the old Saxon roof and the chestnut tiles. Go past the tea rooms the other way around, and the pub. Littlington Tea Gardens. We had the most fantastic meal at the Plough and Harrow, so it's you can't beat pub grub. I've had 1,000 years of perfecting it, whatever people tell you. And then we go past one of the most beautiful buildings in the area. Got to be a bit careful because it's very gravelly, the roads. I think I better slow down a bit here. Right, it's just tucked away up here. Look at this. That's just stupendous. Oh, here we go, fellow cyclists. And there we go, back to the White Horse, way in the distance, up on the hillside there. So we've done a full circle. Oh, there's a little cow with a calf. Get car on the bonnet. That's why I do all these trips so early, that they're just very little traffic. And also you can hear it. So you can tell if a car's coming up behind you or, you know, in front of you, and you can get out of the way. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it. We've had a tremendous journey through a little patch of heaven in East Sussex, and I really hope I've brought it to life a bit for you. And if ever you get the chance, just have a little drive down it, or a cycle down it, or a walk down it, walk to the pub, walk along the Cookme. It's most beautiful. The Cookme runs just along parallel with us, and of course the Cookme that runs down to Cookme Haven was once a much larger river. The only way to get food to Alfriston easily was by barge up the river, and so they would come out from New Haven and Eastbourne at the right tide, and they would shoot up the river, unload, and then back down as the flow ebbed away. And so they could work the tides out and deliver the goods. And of course now when you look at the Cookme up by Alfriston, it's tiny, hardly anything there. And you can't imagine that once big barges crammed full with every bit of food and goods and material and booze and everything for the smugglers in or whatever. It was all brought up. Now we've got Charleston Manor. That's a beautiful building. When I went there, surprising how I remember the machines. I went there to do a Rickard 900, and the woman was one of the cleaners or the cooks for the manor house, and by that time I think it was the Burleys, they only came back in the summer. I don't know if you can get a view of it if it's all closed off. Yeah, it's all closed off and private. But down there is the most incredible when I was a kid, there was all little straight rows of pollarded trees right and left. It's all fallen into disrepair there. Well, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm back to the car now and then off home for breakfast. Bye for now.